Yo, good evening, family and friends. We are here. We're getting ready to go into another weekend. It's been a long week. I hope everybody had a blessed week. Going into the Mother's Day weekend, I want to wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day. I hope everybody enjoy their Mother's Day with their mothers. If the mothers are still here, enjoy this weekend with them. Uh, Show them how much you appreciate them and love on them, even though it's it's a worldly thing, but it still gives us an opportunity to show them on that day how much we love them, how much we appreciate them. So for all the mothers, I want to wish you a happy Mother's Day. Hopefully you enjoy it. Today's topic, I'm here by myself today, guys. Yes, I am. The show must go on. So yeah, today's topic is, should your wife be your best friend or your husband, and why or why not? That's kind of tricky. It's because, on so many levels, you can say yes, then you can say no as well. It's about learning your spouse, uh, knowing the difference between you being able to say certain things to them and without them getting upset. I think, you know, when you look at, when you say a best friend, you know, you look at long term relationship between the two. Because I feel like if you're just getting married with someone, you really don't know them. So your relationship has to grow to the level of being a best friend. Let's use this as an example. Let's say you get married and you have a best friend. Now, do you still have that best friend, or you're saying that your wife or your husband becomes your best friend? You know, there are things you share with your best friend that you don't share with your new wife. But there are times where you can um, be a spouse best friend. You look at some of the relationships that you know they get married and they been high school friends and they married for 20 years. You know, that's a way where you could say they could be best friends because they've grown together. They went to high school together. They probably went to elementary together. So that's one way. You also can grow into uh, being the best friend. You know, because sometimes there are secrets you don't want to share with your spouse. No matter what, you take it to your grave. You just say, you know what, I'm not going to share that, and that's that. You know, but let's look at the ones who the married couples that do have best friend. They're the husband is the best friend, the wife is the best friend. So it's always good. I think it's a plus to have a spouse best friend. I mean, because then you are truly honest to one another. You know, sometimes it can be tough to be honest with a spouse that you haven't really spent a lot of time with. You know, 2 years, 3 years. Somebody get married. It takes a lifetime to get to know an individual. We all struggle with communication at some level, and it's key to have a good communication with one another. And I think that's where uh, the biggest point of being a best friend. I think when you have a best friend outside of a marriage, you usually share everything with that person. Secrets, and they don't judge you, and they have the ability to tell you, listen, I advise you, not to do that way. do it another way. So it can go in so many ways and in so many levels, you know, of being a best friend. Loyalty is big in a friendship. So how do you become loyal if you just getting married? You know, you're getting to know each other. And when you do those things, you really have to look at it and look at the situation of how you can get to that point. It's important to show love, show compassion, and with those things, showing love and compassion with a spouse's feelings is important. It's truly important. So you really got to look at that. And we talk about, should they be your best friend? And that was the question. Should they be your best friend? And that depends on the two individuals. That depends on their prior relationship with, if they have a close friend and they call them their best friend. It depends on that relationship. They enjoy their best friends outside of their marriage. They enjoy that company. They enjoy that space when they have the time for them, you know, outside of their husband or their wife. You know, so you know, like I look at it like this. I'm a newlywed. 4 years in, and I would love for my wife to be my best friend. And we'll get there. And why I say we'll get there, because we're still learning each other. We're still trying to, you know, grasp things between the two. We're trying to understand one another. And one thing that I can say about us is that we make each other better. We push each other to be better, to strive to be better, and that's key. I think that's where why we love each other so much. We always trying to do the right thing, the noble thing, the godly thing. You know, we look to God for advice, and we look to God. When we don't understand one another, we say, "No, Lord, you know, you allow us to, be together. So, give us uh, the guidance of and the understanding for one another." So I think that's key for me and her, to constantly work at that, and eventually we'll get to that point, because I would love to share everything with her, um, you know, and then some things, are meant to be, forgotten and threw away and never talked about again. It depends on the two individuals, how deep they want to go down a rabbit hole, how deep they want to talk about their past, because sometimes your past can bring back memories, and those memories you're trying to forget. So, it's important, you know, how you discuss how, like I said, it's always about communication. Communication is key. And that's how you build that friendship along with your marriage, along with, saying that my wife or my husband is my best friend. Um, and that's how, this is just my point of view, because, everybody have their own walks and own journey. And, we're talking about, should they be your best friend? You got to look at your life and look at the relationship that you and that individual has, and how you determine how you get to that point of being the best friend of your spouse. I think the most important thing in all relationships, mostly marriages, is having a great communication, a way of, you know, they say love language. That's key. That's why they say love language, because everybody has a different love language that you have to learn. You don't know it offhand, so you have to learn it, and that's how you get to the point of learning a spouse, learning how to be a friend as well as a lover, as well as a husband or a wife. Those are the things that most people don't even look at. They don't even take the time out to really, you know, get to know the individual. They just say, you know what, we married, now we got bills, we got to take care of this, we got to take care of that. But no, it's bigger than that, because when the bills are paid, then it's just you and that person, your spouse, And now you have to grow together. And how do you grow? By communicating. Communication is key. Communication is how you grow with one another. No communication, guess what? I'm almost certain your relationship, some people stay together just because. No, if you want a successful, happy marriage, you got to communicate. You got to talk about everything. Not hiding things is not the key. That's why we talking about. Should your husband or your wife be your best friend? You got to be able to talk about everything. Even sometimes with your flaws, you got to be able to talk about those things, and you got to be able to talk about the things that's uncomfortable for you to talk about. Some people are shy or scared to talk about. What I'm saying? If you unhappy with something about your life, you got to be able to talk about it with your spouse, and be open, be transparent. That's key too. Be transparent, and once you do that, then y'all work on how to make it better, how to make the communication better, you know, and how to love one another. But loving is not just part of the relationship. You got mental, you got physical, you got emotional. All these things play a part in how you become your spouse's best friend. Some, like I said, some people can't do it. Some people just, they just living. They just doing it just to be doing it because now you say they're married. You know, we here now. They don't want to constantly work at it because marriage is constantly. It's a constant work. It's not just we here and we stop. How you got that woman, how you got that man. You gotta stay at it. You gotta stay working at it. You gotta stay, making it exciting, making it fun. You know, and that's important. I'm constantly learning different things, constantly learning how to love on my wife and love on, family members, friends, and stuff like that. So everything that you want to do in life, you really have to, work at it, and that's what we have to do is work at the marriage, work at the friendship, and mostly, and some people look at intimacy and they look at first thing they're talking about, oh, you have sex. No, having an intimate relationship with a person is deep. It's deeper than just physical. It's emotional, you know, and that's big. Some people think that sometimes when you see a man crying that they soft. Nah, listen, if you cry in front of your wife, that's healthy. It's not unhealthy because you don't know the circumstance. You don't know what's going on inside of that person's heart and that body. Something can be going on and they're crying because not they crying of sadness. They're crying because they're happy, they're thankful, they're grateful of all the things that they have, and especially they're grateful for how that individual makes them feel. And I'm talking about the wife or their husband. Make them feel, make them feel good, make them feel happy and pleased at the fact that when they call them, they're there. They can always count on them. They're always supporting them. So crying is healthy. Is also therapeutic. For the individual. Sometimes you got so much hurt and pain inside, and you just bottle it up, and you just don't let it out. Guess what? It eventually is going to come out, and it might come out the wrong way. And guess what? When it explodes, it may hurt the wrong person. You may explode and allow it to damage somebody else. So you gotta work on how you feel about an individual, and that's your wife, your husband. It's constantly work. It's constantly, dedication. It's kind of construction. Constructive criticism is always important to be between your wife and your husband. Sometimes you do something wrong, and they say, "Oh, babe, you did this wrong." Well, I tried. Well, if you do it like this, maybe it might come out better. You know, not just, "Wow, I told you to do it like this." No, it's not. It's how you say it. It's they always tell me your delivery. It's your delivery. It's how you communicate that to your spouse, how you talk to them. And when they say that you say something that makes you upset, it makes them upset. You don't make them feel good. Think about it. Consider what they're saying to be true. Not because, oh, I didn't say it like this. No, consider consider that they're trying to tell you how they feel. Respect that and try to do better. You know, and that's, and I'm speaking to myself as I'm talking to you guys. It's like, because my wife say that sometimes, and I hear her, and then I gotta retract, and I gotta say, what, my bad, baby, I'm sorry. I should have said it more softer or more direct, and not so harsh. And that's, like I said, we talk about communication. That's key. Communication is the importance of a happy friendship, marriage. You know, friendship is, well, man, that goes so far. It depends on the level of the individual. It depends on the person, because your friendship with your coworkers is important too. How you talk to them, how they receive what you're saying. You know, that's important too. You know what I'm saying? So, you said listening is more important than communicating in a relationship. Yeah, I mean, that depends on the individual. Listening is more important. I mean, but if you're not verbal, you know, in your communication, how can you get something across? Someone said listening is more important than communicating in a relationship. No, you got to be able to speak it verbally. Not just, you gotta hear the person, but then you gotta be able to communicate it. When they tell you something, whether it's right or wrong, whether you see it right or wrong, you really got to think about what they're talking about, and sit back and let it marinate and see what they're saying, and how, because sometimes people, their communication, they don't say it right, and so now you receive it in a different way. You receive it in, oh, she trying to say I ain't good enough, but she's not saying it like that, or he. It depends. You know what I'm saying? So, communication is verbal as well as listening. Sometimes when your wife come home and she want to talk, you have to be a good listener. Yes, that's true. You sit sometimes. What I've learned is that, when my wife come home and she talks about her job, and I sit there sometimes and I say, hey, babe, how was your day? I say, okay. She's talking to me, and then I'm like, is there, you want me to respond or you want me to listen? Because that's key, because sometimes they just want to vent, and you got to be that listening ear, and that's key. What I'm saying? Being that listening ear, and not always giving uh, your point of views. They just want to be heard at the particular time. And that, like you said, Mr. Love, that's part of communication. What I'm saying? Being able to listen. uh, some people don't listen. They just, their mind is on something else, and they're not paying attention to their spouse. And guess what? They recognize that, they see that, and then guess what? Now they feel like they can't come and talk to you. You know, and that's not cool. You know, that's what we want to do. We want to be able to grow together. We want to grow stronger. And like you said, listening is key to the communication. Um, So the ones that are sitting here watching, and make a comment in the comment box. Look, should your wife be your best friend or your husband? Why or why not? Actually, put your comments in the comment box. Let me know what y'all think. Should your wife be your best friend? And if she's not your best friend, can she be your best friend? That's the I should change the question. Can she be your best friend? And that all depends on you or her. What I'm saying? How deep you want to go with your friendship. you know uh, some people say, because now I'm and listen, this is me. Some people say, oh, my wife's my best friend. Is she really your best friend? No. She said, somebody said no, because she's my wife and she's more than a best friend. My wife is my only bestie, for real. Okay, okay, okay. She can't be my best friend. Then that defeats the whole purpose of being a wife. Okay, now I got something for you. So since you said she can't be your best friend, right? Your wife, there are things, right? Then we're just a friend zone and don't feel a romantic relationship with each other. Okay, listen, let's be real with each other. Okay, since you guys are putting the comments, listen, if you have a best friend, right? I'm true best friend more than 10 years before you met your wife. There are things that you share with them you cannot share with your wife. Whatever it is, if you went out there doing all types of things, there's certain things you don't want to share with your wife because guess what? That's your past. So you shouldn't be able to share. You shouldn't share it with it. That's it. That all depends on the two people. You understand what I'm saying? So your your best friend and your wife. Yes, there are things in your past you don't discuss with your wife because it's your past. But guess what? There are secrets. We all have secrets, and there are secrets that you will not tell your wife. Why not? It's that we're not. That's what we're not perfect. You can't trust your wife enough. Not, but uh, listen, humans are fickle. That's everybody. There's not one person that's truly that has never done anything that's untrustworthy. Truly, if your wifey, if your wifey's not your bestie, she, yeah, that's why she's your wife. She's your wife. But I'm so. Let me ask you something, Mr. Love. Before your wife, right? You've done things in your life. Have you shared everything with your wife? You said, if, you said, if I can't tell them to my wife, then how can I trust her? Yes, my wife knows everything about me. Everything I do. Oh, okay. How long you been? How long have you been with your wife? It's not no. You can trust that. Look, you can trust who you want to. That's your choice. And this is not a space of negativity. So I don't speak negativity. I'm speaking, peace and love. So I'm not so I don't want nobody to think that it's in a negative space. There's no negative here. So I can't marry her because part of marriage is to be able to trust someone. Yes, you are absolutely correct. You got to be able to trust somebody. Um, putting your trust in, okay, 5 years. Okay, so you trust them. I only been married 4 years, going on five, right? I trust my wife enough to be herself. I because see my the way I see about trusting my wife, I say, listen, if you do anything that is going to hinder our relationship, that's on you. You'll you'll be punished for that through God, not me. You understand what I'm saying? So, I that's how I see it. So, when it comes down to trust in that, I, listen, we all human. We make mistakes. So I just say, listen, you are in control of making your own decisions. So, I trust my wife. But there are things, like I said, everybody's different. Everybody, you know, I love my wife. There are things that I have done in my life I don't want to discuss. You know what I'm saying? Does it mean that she shouldn't trust me? No, clearly not. She should always trust me because guess what? I know doing something that's going to hurt her will uh, hinder me and the vow that I have with God. So I that's not even gonna be me. But you know so that's why we talk about so no the things the things have I told my wife everything about me? No. There are there are things that she should know. There are things she should not know, and that goes for the individual. There are things your wife do not need to know. The most important things is that who you are, what you're about, and and any hidden uh, things that you should tell her. Like I said, everything is not supposed to be told. Whatever it is, that depends on you and the individual. I mean, you may have not done some bad and cruel things that you do not want to talk about. You do not want to bring up. That all depends on the individual. If you choose to share certain things with your spouse, and that's cool. You don't get what part? What what part you don't get? Or should there be something to not tell Okay, so you want me to give you an example? I'll give you an example. Not um me being how can I say it? Let's say how can I say this? Um, it's hard to say because I don't say the part where you say that should let me see. It's hard to say uh, what I shouldn't tell my wife because see, I'm not going to disclose that. That's personal because see, this is live. So there's certain now you get the message down. The message is there are certain things you don't disclose. So I can't say certain things because this is live, it's public, the world can see it. So there's things that I do not want to disclose. So there's things I will not share with my wife. There's an old cliche. You don't let your left hand know what your right hand doing. So so if you don't know what that means, sometimes you don't know. They don't know everything. They're not supposed to know everything. No, no. Why would she be feel suspicious if I don't give her anything to feel suspicious about? Yes, everything that's current. That's everything that's current. No, it's everything that's current. We not talk. Look, you you as an individual can discuss if you choose to talk about your past. Some it depends on the individual. You know, my past, I don't talk about. It's over. It's done. It's in the past. But the things that's most important that my wife should know about, I always discuss and I have always disclosed that to her. there's if she was to ask me anything, I would tell her anything. See what I'm saying? So there's there's no hidden agendas. There's no so you you feel me on that? There's nothing like she trusts me. I trust her. I've never given her anything not to trust. It depends what it is. You know. Okay. Okay. Watch this. That's a good example. If you have done that right, and you want to put it in the past, yes, that's that. So that's a that's a part of you that you don't want to disclose anymore. You don't have to talk about that. That's so it's not like you lied. It's not like you hid anything. You've done something that you regret because guess what? At the end of the day, watch this. If God can forgive you for that crime, right? You don't have to tell anybody about it. God has forgiven you. You move on. God will never put it back, bring it back into your face. So you don't have to tell anybody about that. Nobody. That's personal. And guess what? You took it to God, and God forgave you. You move on. You do not have to talk about that. So and that's what I mean by there are things you do not have to disclose to your current wife. True that. True. That's man. But hey, look, that's man. Man can't forgive you. You're absolutely right. So hold on. Hey, Mr. Love, you said, so what are your vows when you get married? Guess what? Now, that's good that you said that. When you get married, guess what? Your old you is the old you. You don't you if you choose to bring the old you into the new you, that's up to you. You starting from scratch. You're starting all over now. Now, what you share with your wife and you bring into your marriage, that's up to you and you and your wife. You do not have to bring your past into your marriage. You starting a new. So guess what? When you say I do, you do. And Mr. Love, you can. I mean, that's up to you if you wanted to. You send me your email, get it your laptop, your iPad, and boom, you can. That's all up to you. But at the end of the day, right? You really got to look into your inside yourself and look. If you feel comfortable with sharing certain things with your wife, that's on you. Not you don't have to hide. You don't have to be ashamed. That's how you and that individual grow together. You understand what I'm saying? So it's all about you as an individual. That's all it is. So it's never uh, anything set in stone. It depends on the two individuals, two people. You know, everybody has a different way of doing things. Okay. She finds out. I'm being transparent. She finds out, and guess what? You didn't hide it. You choose not to talk about it. But now, if you choose not to talk about it, right? Sometimes people don't seek out therapy. Therapy is something that's very therapeutic for an individual too. So it depends on what the circumstances, depends on the situation, of the communication. You know, like there are things that and that happens in your past. You listen. If you're getting to know somebody and you're just getting married, how can you share your past when you're getting to know them? It's your past. You got to get to that level to be able to share your past with your future or your current. You got to be able to get to that level because there are some things that can change in a wink of an eye with the individual by you saying certain things. Guess what? People are doing it every day. Getting married, next thing you know, they divorce. Oh, wow. No, you know what? I'm not willing to deal with that. So, think about that. You could take a chance of sharing something, and then guess what? That might be something that they don't want to deal with. Now what? Now you in a divorce. Now she's like, you know what? I'm not dealing with that. And there you go. No, some things are not meant, like I said, some things are not meant to disclose. It's your past. I don't. Do you take your past and your into your future? Not if it was bad. Why would you want to take your past into your future? Especially if you're growing, especially if you're getting better, especially if you are moving up, are you elevating? Your past is your past, but that's how you got to your future, growing. So you leave your past behind. You got to listen. You, as you grow, you will understand. There were listen. There are things you don't have to share. Your past. I'm not talking about. See, you think I'm talking about now, but I share everything with my wife currently. Everything. There's nothing she don't know. She know everything right now. I'm talking about my past. My past is not to be talked. It don't have to be talked about because I'm a better man. See, I'm a better person. I'm a better husband. I'm a better friend. I'm a better brother. A better friend. You see what I'm saying? So I've become better. I've grown. I have been groomed. I have grown into being a better person. And she has, you know, took part in that as well. As we've been married only 4 years, going on to 5, and she has been a part of that. See what I'm saying? So I don't need to talk about my past. My past is the past for me. Everybody's not going to do that. It depends on the individuals. They can choose to share what they want to. No, trust me. No, she would. But, but you got listen. You okay? Watch this. So you got to realize one thing. See, you said mistakes. I was talking about that with someone early today about mistakes. You got to be real careful when you say mistakes. Because, see, sometimes mistakes aren't what people, you know, make it out to be. So you really got to look into what you call a mistake. I said to this person, I said, listen, a mistake is something unconscious. You don't even know you did it. You know, you walking down the street, you don't see the crack, you trip and fall. That's a mistake. So he said, oh, sometimes people have children and they're not ready for children. That's a mistake. No, that's not a mistake. Because guess what? You know the difference between right and wrong. You knew there's a possibility if you have unprotected sex, you may get that person pregnant. That is not a mistake. You know the difference between right and wrong. So you still did it. So guess what? Now you have a child on the way. That's not a mistake. When you having unprotected sex, or you having sex, period. So it depends on what you call mistakes. And listen, if your current wife would like for you to reflect on your past, that's how she want to do things, or you want to do things. But think about this: your spouse, how can they do the same thing a therapist can? They're not a therapy. They're not therapists. They can't advise you to grow on advice if y'all growing together. How can they give you learning lessons when y'all doing it together? Y'all working together. It's a journey that you and that individual are walking. Think about that. Something to think about. Food for thought. Y'all on this journey together. Not to talk about, like I said, your past, your past struggles. Now, if you have an addiction, that's something that you could talk about, and you can work through. Yeah, because you have an addiction. But how many people are admitting that they have an addiction and trying to knock that addiction? It doesn't have to be about drugs. It's so many levels of an addiction. How many people are addicted to certain things, and it depends on the individual. So you got to look at it like that too. You know, so when you talk about all of those things, it's it's levels to it, just like it's levels to marriage. Depends on the two individuals how they want to grow together. You and that's key. And she wants you to reflect on your past. She would divorce me if I had your mom. I said, "Nah, I'm re." Why would she do that? Why would she want to divorce you? Mm-mm. When listen, when you getting ready to get married and you being truthful and honest to a person, they supposed to love you for who you are right then and there. What you're showing them, you're showing them you, not your past, your current. So you showing them who you are. You know, if you're a devoted person, dedicated person, if you're a loving person, if you're a person with an attitude, the person that you get upset quickly or you're not quickly to get upset. All of those things you showing that person. You know, you being honest. If you're gonna be honest with that person, then you tell them everything that's going on in your life at that particular time. But your past. I'm see it's no. I mean, look, it all depends on. You're right. It depends on it too. It depends on the two. It depends on the person. You know, you know, it's levels. If that's if that's what the individual requires, then you give them what they require. If they know that's what they need to hear, then you give them that. You know that's that's key. You know, with that, you got and communication is key. So guess what? You got to learn how to communicate with that person. Is that something that's going to make them feel good to know everything about you? Trust me when I tell you, my wife know enough about me, enough because I wanted her to know. You know what I'm saying? I want her to know everything. And there are some things that in my past I discussed with her because guess what? In my heart, I felt the need to tell her, but there were things that happened in my life that she don't need to know. It's not. And it does not mean that it's bad. That's the crazy part. It doesn't mean that it's negative. It doesn't mean that it's not positive, or it's just something that's not don't need to be said. It don't need to be talked about. That's the point. You know, that's the whole thing. But I just want you to understand that you're always welcome to come on and come check me out. I'm on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 6:30. Mostly on Fridays, I'm by myself, but I do have a co-host, Tanika Graves. She comes on Monday, Wednesday. I do have a lot of guests, so you just come through, check me out, check out my page at Chef Dennis 32. That's my YouTube when I do the podcast. I got some artwork on there. That's what we had cooking in the kitchen today. Should your wife be your best friend or your husband? Listen, that's my time. It was lovely talking to you guys. Listen, you guys enjoy your Mother's Day. Enjoy your weekend. Talk to you Monday morning. Well, I said Monday morning. I meant Monday evening. You guys have a blessed weekend. Peace.